Okay, thank you. Good morning, and I want to welcome you here this morning. Just a few brief comments about an operation that we have been running since October of last year. With me this morning is our special agent in charge of ATF here in the Tampa region, Virginia O'Brien. Also, Assistant Special Agent in charge, Scott McCampbell, is also here today. Jay Hoffer, our criminal chief from the U.S. Attorney's Office, is here, and Christine Brown from the State Attorney's Office, representing Mark Ober's office, is also here. This morning, I want to tell you a little bit about this operation with firearms that we were involved in, and it is timely, and then I'll lead into something else in a few minutes, proposed enhancements to one of the Florida statutes concerning felons in possession of firearms. I'll state the obvious first, that this entire operation was aimed at felons who are in possession of firearms, and it is obvious the menace that they are to our society. And we initiated this investigation back in October to take as many firearms off the street as we could that were in the hands of convicted felons, and also to try to gauge how many were actually out there. We had seen a jump in firearms-related crimes over the past few years, and obviously the incidents involving police officers across the state of Florida were alarming, and we wanted to try to take a snapshot of what's really going on in Florida right now. We thank our partners who assisted us and continue to assist us as this investigation will go on for some time, as far as the tracing of these firearms and all the things that happened as a result of this case. Some of the things that we will be looking at is the origin of all these illegal firearms, who's selling them, how the firearms were distributed, and all of the main players and any organization that may have been involved in these. We had cases. We had one person had over 19 felony arrests who was selling us firearms, and we bought these firearms from anywhere from $120 to $450. You see from the variety of firearms here, we have everything from assault weapons to common type hunting rifles to short-barreled shotguns that are made for one reason, that is it is an anti-personnel device that's made to kill people, and that's the only reason a weapon like that would exist. And this investigation also sees machine guns and things of that nature as well, that are not legal to possess without special authority. Some of these firearms have been circulating our streets since the 1980s. This particular firearm right here, which has been rendered safe and has nothing in it, has been on the streets since about 1982. Was stolen in Plantation, Florida. It's got an interesting story behind it, and we'll fill you in after the press conference on that if anybody wants the details. But basically, this thing has probably been stolen and restolen numerous times, and the person that we bought this from was not even born when this gun was reported stolen originally to the Plantation Police Department in 1982. So there was a lot of stuff out there, and this story is pretty interesting as we get into it. Some of the handguns that we bought were, two of them were from a 14-year-old who was on house arrest himself and had a partner who was helping him, and we bought stolen firearms from him. We identified burglars. We identified victims. One of the firearms was used in a home invasion robbery. We're currently analyzing other weapons to determine if they were used in any homicides, shootings, or other firearms-related crimes. We know that some of the people that we were involved with the firearms belonged to gangs such as the Latin Kings, the Bloods, Latin Life, and Trey Ford, to just name a few. We seized narcotics as a byproduct of the investigation. This was not a narcotics investigation, but over 700 grams of crack cocaine, over 400 oxycodone tablets, and things of that nature were also on some of these people as they were arrested or during the course of the investigation. So far, we've had over 15 arrests. In our indictments, we have arrest warrants currently for 18 individuals, and there are many other cases that are currently under investigation. as I said earlier, there are some unique stories on some of these guns, and those of you who may be interested, we'll go over that with you later on. Also, we have another weapon here that was reported stolen by the Tampa Police Department back in 1998, and all of these guns were sold on the street. We were buying them at corner convenience stores. In just a few moments, we were arranging for these buys, and we were picking them up. I was talking to our SAC a minute ago, and we were talking about guns at one time were pretty difficult to buy on the street. They've always been out there, but as one of our investigators said earlier, you can buy guns like you could buy crack cocaine a couple of years ago. And these things are being marketed, they're being pushed, and it's become a huge problem in the state of Florida. And I think the SAC will have a much better grasp on the depth of that problem. Again, the 14-year-old that sold guns, I'll give you some individual information on that afterwards for those of you who may be interested. Where this leads us is there's some really sobering statistics that I think need to be brought out, and that was the deaths of the police officers in the state of Florida over the past few years have been alarming for all of us. And as we started looking at this felon in possession of a firearm issue, and of course very timely here in the Tampa Bay area, but since 2006, more than half the law enforcement officers murdered in Florida were killed by felons with guns. 15 of the 27 law enforcement officers died at the hands of felons with firearms. In 2011 alone, 6 of the 7 police officers who have been killed by gunfire have been killed by felons who are in possession of a firearm. Between 2006 and 2010, the Sheriff's Office alone in this county arrested over 900 felons for being in possession of firearms, and that's without any direct admission like this was. That's just in the course of us doing business, over 900 felons. We're currently asking the legislature, and this is where I'm going with this issue today. We have asked the legislature in light of things that have happened over the past year with police officers in Florida, we have asked the legislature to take a look at that law. Currently, a felon who has one previous conviction, say for selling drugs, who's in possession of a firearm, would only score out to about 16 months in the Florida State Prison for another conviction of a firearm. We are asking them to make enhancements to Florida Statute 790.23, which is the felon in possession of a firearm, and we have asked that they attach this bill or attach this amendment to House Bill 575 and Senate Bill 844. Those are the bills that are named in honor of Fort Myers police officer Andrew Widman, who was shot and killed in 2008 by a felon who was on community control at the time. And we believe this would be a good fit to attach the enhancements. And what that would do, that would take the felon in possession of a firearm from a second-degree felony to a first-degree felony, or from a level 5 in the criminal code to a level 7, which would score them out at about 35 months instead of the current 16 months. And we're hoping that would happen. And with that, let me turn the podium over to our SAC for just a moment and let her answer a few questions about the depth of this problem in the state of Florida.
Thank you, Sheriff G. First, let me say, if I could, that I'd like to commend the Sheriff's Department, Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff G, command staff, and all the men and women who pulled off this outstanding, successful, and safe investigation into the illegal gun trafficking market in Florida. This is a prime example of crime guns out on the streets in the hands of convicted felons and other prohibited persons. To conduct such an operation through the course of so many months in such a safe manner, I commend those officers and the personal sacrifices that they made and the commitment to making this a safer place to live. I really commend you. Speaking on behalf of the state of Florida as the special agent in charge for ATF here in the Tampa area, I can tell you that our crime gun statistics, those guns that are traced by all of the police departments, sheriff departments, etc., through the state of Florida, have spiked. And that Florida consistently, on the annual statistics for crime gun tracing is ranked either first, second, or third in those numbers of guns that are taken off the streets of Florida. So this, again, is an example of the challenge we have in law enforcement to keep our local communities safe with the partnership with the federal agencies, state agencies, U.S. Attorney's Office, State Attorney's Office, all working together to fight this type of crime gun problem and to keep our areas safer.
Thank you. And with that, we would entertain any questions that we can. Some of these cases are still pending, and I'm not going to go into all the persons who have been arrested because...
Sheriff, could you go over and elaborate a little bit on the connection between crime guns and the deaths of our law enforcement officers? You've noted some numbers there.
Yeah, as I said, just in this year alone, 6 of the 7 who were killed, of the police officers who were killed by gunfire, were killed by felons in possession of firearms. And over the past few years, that number is, well above 50%. So that's a number that we can do something about. There's quite a few guns here today, and this not all of them, but one of these things can do a tremendous amount of damage, and I think it's just important that we understand these are not guns that are lawfully held by citizens. These are criminals who are out here and they're selling and trading these things. They have other guns for their own protection right now because they're selling and trading these, which tells us these are not even ones they need for themselves. There are other ones that we're not getting. They've still got them on themselves. So it's not uncommon to find people carrying a firearm now, where at one time it was uncommon.
Sheriff, what is your age range? You said 14 up to...
14, we've got them, well, we've got some that are, like I said, numerous felony convictions, almost 20 felony convictions that are older, in their late middle-aged people, but, we've got criminals of all years, but we are seeing a lot of young ones. I will tell you that is when you're seeing 14-year-olds that are not just in possession, but are trading these things, selling them, stealing them, selling them, it's alarming.
Was there a name for this operation? Was this kind of countywide?
This operation Ceasefire, not ceasefire, but ceasefire, and it is a countywide operation. And again, this was really more to give us an idea. And I know the U.S. Attorney's here, and Bob O'Neill, who is the U.S. Attorney here, one of his main priorities is violent crime in the community. He's been a great ally as far as going into these communities where we have a tremendous violent crime problem and go in and make a difference and give the community back to the people who want to live there. And so we were trying to just gauge, and as Virginia said, we're really looking at this case because we're going to take all the data from this, and ATF is going to use this data as we trace all these firearms and go back. We're going to use this data as a bit of a model to give our legislators and our government authorities an idea of the magnitude of the problem here in Florida. Florida is one of our big firearm states right now where we're having problems. So that's
how many guns were seized in total, and were they all from felons or?
I believe there were 80-something in this operation, 80-something guns seized. And out of the 80, I think about 69 or so were taken from felons. Almost, I think 87% were taken from felons. So, I mean, almost all of them.
Sheriff, what do you think the impact will be from this operation alone?
Yeah, it's always good to get these off because, we all know what, we look around the country what happens with one of these. So it's always good. It's hard to guess, but I will tell you, I think this is just a drop in the bucket, in reality of what's going on in Florida right now. I've heard some academics talk about the police officers, and they say, well, those are just, those spikes happen from time to time, but that's not what police officers sense out there. We sense that things are changing, and when you're seeing multiple police officers killed at one time and you're seeing that more than once, I think that's a good indication that, society is changing to some degree, and this is an issue that we really need to get our arms around quickly.
When you say this is just a drop in the bucket, will you all do this again? How will you stop the infiltration of these type of weapons?
Well, we will do these operations again, but I think as our SAC said, they're really studying this issue right now, and we're really trying to get at how do you solve this problem? And it's not an easy problem to solve, and it's not going to be solved totally by going out and doing these type of operations. This is not, we've got to have some better measures to address this thing, and tougher sanctions and laws, and all of those things are part of it, but it's a big issue and not easily solved.
Sheriff, when we went along this morning, can you talk about the arrest this morning, if you know a little bit about it?
I'll tell you what, I'll defer to Major Lozinski after the press conference to tell you about anything that happened this morning. And also, Virginia said she would be glad to take some questions as well as the ATF's involvement in the issue in Florida. So,
Which gun was used in the home invasion, and what's the story with that gun?
I don't know which one it was, but we can provide that information for you if it's up here. These are not all the weapons that are here. Obviously, there's more, but we'll definitely provide you with that information.
Sheriff, 15 arrests, but you're expecting more?
Yeah, there are 18 other warrants that are out right now, and we do believe that all of these cases will lead to additional investigative leads and probably other arrests as we start to trace these things back.
The 14-year-old, you said he was on house arrest?
Yeah, he had an ankle
What's
break.
his story?
He had an ankle bracelet, and essentially, I'll tell you that that occurred on March the 24th, and his name was. Let me go through this here. I believe that was Trey Borders. Trey Borders was the 14-year-old. He sent a friend of his, Joseph Baez, to meet with detectives to conduct the firearm transaction. He had previously made the deal with us, but because he had an ankle bracelet on, he couldn't do it. And he made a transaction for us for the sale and delivery of a 9mm handgun in exchange for $230 in currency. Again, he got his other friend, another juvenile, to go out and do that. Trey Borders, who is 14, has a criminal history that includes multiple burglaries, grand theft, dealing stolen property, battery on a school employee, and currently on probation for disrupting a school function. Joseph Baez had a criminal history for multiple burglaries, grand theft, possession of drugs, cocaine sale and delivery, and also battery on a school employee. Currently on probation for cocaine and sale and delivery of cocaine. That's just, again, I could go on and on with all of these, and I'll have the PIO give you some individual stories if you want them, but there's a lot of those.
How old was Joseph?
I don't know his age. He was a juvenile as well. I'll have to get that for you. Any other questions? Anything for the SAC or our U.S. attorney?
How many people were actually involved in this operation? How many officers were?
How many officers were involved in the thing? Upwards of about 20 officers were involved, and I have to mention the state attorney as well. Mark Ober's office has assisted us as we move through this investigation and all the things that have happened with their office. And again, a lot more work to do, and we'll stick around if y'all have any questions afterwards. We'll be glad to answer those, and I'll get you some specifics. We have some of the investigators here, so to answer your question, we'll get you some specifics. Thank you.